Morning, everyone. Hello, I'm Kate from Arts Council England on the Place-Based Peer Learning Programme. Today, we're joined by Ria and James from the Culture and Place Data Explorer. The session is recorded, and for the purposes of audio describing, I'm a woman in her late mid-40s with a white woman with brown hair, brown fringe, and a pink necklace. Today, I'm going to put on the slideshow now, just the initial. Slideshow. Today, we're going to be introduced to the apologies for the spelling correction, Culture and Place Data Explorer with Ria Jones and James Evans. Are going to take us through and show us the tools available and provide an opportunity to ask questions. In this session, we're going to talk for about an hour until 11 o'clock. And then at 11, we're going to have a breakout session for about 20 minutes. And so if you want to ask questions, you can wait to the breakout sessions, which will be attended by Ria and James, or alternatively, you can just use the chat function. In the breakout sessions, if there are any people attending today that would need additional support, we have 2 BSL interpreters, and they are happy to join each of the sessions. So just let us know in the chat if that will be useful. Our session today is recorded, so there will be interpretation and captioning throughout. And we have a short survey at the end. Right, without further ado, I'll introduce Ria, who will take us through over the next hour. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kate. Hello, everyone. My name is Ria. I'm a white woman in my very, very, very late 30s. I've got brown bobbed hair and black glasses on today. And I'm really excited that you're on the call to come and hear some more about the Culture and Place Data Explorer, which is a new tool that has been launched by Arts Council a couple of months ago. So hopefully in this call or in this session, I'll be able to explain a bit more about why we've developed the tool, what you might be able to use it for, and there will be lots of opportunities to ask questions. And I'll share some slides shortly to talk about how we're going to structure the session. But Kate's already mentioned that you can ask questions, and I just wanted to confirm that if you pop any questions in the chat, it may be I don't answer them immediately, and my colleague James Evans will be moderating and keeping an eye on the chat. And then once I have completed sort of the main part of the presentation, we'll then come back and answer any questions that have come into the chat between the two of us. And if there is any questions as I'm demonstrating the tool, because we will do a live demonstration as part of this session, feel free to pop them in the chat, because I can go back and reshare the tool and we can work through some examples together if that's helpful. So please feel free to ask anything and we will definitely follow them all up, hopefully in about 20 minutes time or later on in the breakout session too. So I'm going to share my screen now, hopefully, and we'll run through some slides and I'll talk through how the session will work. So hopefully you can all see that. So today's session is an introduction to the Culture and Place Data Explorer. There's an image here of what the Explorer looks like when it's got been fully populated with lots of data that will learn some more about in the next 20 minutes. So today we're going to cover the background and development of the tool. We're going to run through some of the ways that you can use the tool and give you a bit more information about data. I am going to give a demonstration of how you can practically use the tool by going into the website and navigating and talking through how you might want to overlay data, look at particular places, and some of the other tools that exist within the platform. And then we'll round it up with where you can get help and support and what's next. There will also be a Q&A session as well, which will hopefully be in about 20 minutes time. And then we'll have the breakout session after that at around 11 o'clock. So apologies for the start. There will be quite a lot of listening to me talk, but it shouldn't be for the whole session. We can obviously then have a bit more of a discussion with everyone in the group or via the Q&A. And James will also be around to support with questions as well. And James is a member of our data team. So if you've got any specific questions around data or specifics of data, James is the person to ask. My role at the Arts Council is as a senior project manager for Place. So I have a national overview of all the work that falls under our cultural communities theme. So which is in Let's Create, the Arts Council strategy around how we work within communities and culture and creativity within communities. And encompassed with that is things like our Priority Place programme, lots of other smaller projects, including the Culture and Place Data Explorer, which we've recently launched. And I'll talk now about kind of how that project came about. So in 2021, the Arts Council confirmed a commitment as part of our delivery plan to strengthen our place-based approach. So this was in line with cultural communities as a theme, an outcome within the strategy. And we wanted to be able to give our stakeholders, partners, the sector, and really anyone who was interested in kind of interrogating cultural and creative data, a tool to be able to do that was easy to access and contained relevant information. So we wanted to create a place data platform, making sure there was access to data and evidence that was relevant to local areas. We had a hope that this would enable our partners to be able to more easily map need, identify opportunities, and form partnerships. So I've given you kind of the output here. So this is what we've been working towards. We wanted to be able to provide our partners in Place with tools to support them and to capture and analyze data. And I think it's probably just worth saying that what we are very keenly aware is that the information around places is most, keenly, all the people on this call will very much know the information around their places in which they work. So this was about how do we ensure that we can make that more readily available, that it means that there's a tool where you might be able to look at information around places that sit alongside the place you might be working in. You might be interested in national data. So we wanted to really be able to give the opportunity for everyone to be able to interrogate and use data in a more meaningful and useful way. And also within the platform, we wanted there to be tools and the ability to be able to analyze data and take information out of the tool and be able to use that in your work that you're doing, whether that's a funding application or any other evidence you might be presenting or how you might want to review internally around the work that you're doing. So we had some benefits we wanted to get out of the platform we were developing. We wanted to be able to map our Arts Council investment data alongside external data. We wanted to be able to provide the reports, which is what I've just sort of referred to. What could we give to users that they could take out of the system and use individually back at their own places of work? We wanted a mapping tool. So how could we map cultural assets and infrastructure? And we wanted to provide a tool that was able to showcase multiple geographies. And we were very much aware that we wanted to strengthen our place-based approach, potentially with other arm's length bodies and government investments. So what could we use the tool for to help showcase other funding streams potentially? And I'll come to that a bit later on. So that's where the Culture and Place Data Explorer began. So that was its kind of original concept. It's been a very long process in development. I just mentioned we began thinking about this in 2021, so it's taken a number of years. The tool has been championed by Laura Dyer, who's Deputy Chief Executive of the Arts Council, and we've worked closely with a delivery partner and a technology provider to deliver the tool. So 51012 are our delivery partner, and they have supported us to develop, curate, and deliver the tool as it exists today. And we have worked with Oxford Consultants for Social Inclusion, or you might hear me call them Oxy, and their local insight platform is the platform we are using to showcase the data. So it's an existing platform that we've developed to create a specific tool for the Arts Council. So I've just briefly run through the timeline. So our first kind of step was defining what we wanted. An initial title for the Explorer was a place data portal. We identified we wanted to work with 51012. We then went through a procurement process, and Oxy was selected as our platform partner. And we then started to develop the bespoke platform for the Arts Council. We knew that we wanted to add in our own investment data, but what other creative and cultural data sets did we want to include alongside a huge range of data that already existed in the local insight platform, which I'll show you shortly. And then for the whole of this year, really, in and out of elections, we have been undertaking internal and external testing and developing the platform and ensuring that there were some technical fixes to make sure it's ready for launch in September. So the platform, as you see it today, has been through a long period of testing, but it is very much the start of a process. So we are committed to developing and refining the platform going forward. Just as a bit of a breakdown of the testing phase, we had a very basic product by the start of the year that we were able to test internally. We then did wider testing with Arts Council staff, particularly relationship managers, to understand how they felt about the platform, what they might use it for in their work, and how they felt that their organisations might be able to use it. So that was a very helpful phase. And then once we were into July and August, we were able to complete wider external testing with organisations, policymakers, Department for Culture, Media and Sport, local authorities, academics, a huge range of users essentially. And we developed the Explorer for around 8 users. We thought about 8 different sorts of users that might use the platform, from a cultural organisation, a policymaker, an Arts Council relationship manager. So we were trying to ensure that each different type of user would be able to interact with the platform. This led us to launch, which was back at the end of September. So I'm just going to run through some of the information around data that's in the site. So the Explorer is a map-based product. So you'll see here there's a map of Manchester, which has got different colours on. And what you can do is you can start to interrogate data quite closely into different areas of where you're interested in. And this aligns with the Arts Council's commitment to data and our open data policy, and our commitment to ensuring that our data is transparent and that our data is easily accessible. We already have a number of tools that people might be interested in reviewing our data. Project grants data on our website, expenditure data. We have a range of annual survey data from our national portfolio organisations, and we have a national investment dashboard, which is regularly updated. The Culture in Place Data Explorer is very much designed to sit alongside our existing tools. They will all continue to work. And if you are interested in very detailed information around project grants, the project grants data would be the place to look for that. The Explorer doesn't give that kind of granular information about particular grants. So this is essentially another really exciting tool to sit alongside our other products we have available. In terms of data, it's important to confirm that all the data in the Explorer is publicly available. And what the Explorer does, it brings it into one place. Most of our data is sourced from government departments, Office for National Statistics. We have information around the census, demographics, socioeconomic data. The majority of our data is updated by our partner Oxy. which ensures that it's as up to date and as current as it can be. Obviously, for our investment data, we are providing updates for that. And there's a range of data you can access within the platform, from culture and creativity, demographics, infrastructure. I won't read them all out. Health and wellbeing, environment, housing, transport. That's what's currently in the Explorer, and we'll touch on this, but we're very interested in developing and updating the data available and responding to what data people are interested in. The data selected for launch was selected via availability, feasibility, and how regularly it had been updated, how recent it had been updated. So you might be wondering how you can use the Explorer to support your work. So we've come up with some example use cases. If you're interested, for example, in Arts Council investment data, you can add some data in around funding. For example, we've used 23-24 here, and then you can map on in our services tab, and I'll come to this when I show you the demo, the different Arts Council funded organisations in an area. So this image here shows Sheffield, and you can start to see the coloured areas. There will be a tool or a key within the map that I'll show you where you can start to see what the colours mean. But essentially, if an area is coloured, it is showing there is some form of investment in that area. So quite quickly there, you can see there are dense areas in the middle of that city, and as you move out, different areas have obviously got potentially less funding. You can view levels of deprivation in Arts Council priority places. So one of the advantages of the Explorer is you can start to add custom areas and segment information. So we've added some custom areas here, which are those black lines you can see on the image. We've added a data source, which is indices of multiple deprivation. And as you hover over these areas, which I'll show you shortly, you can see the different figures that appear. And you can navigate into a place. So here we've selected Manchester, but you could navigate into different areas. You might want to think about building local cultural partnerships. So you can map within the mapping tool, the services tool, different charities from the arts, culture and heritage and science sector. So you could map them onto the map, navigate to the place you're interested in, and then click on the little pins that appear to view details. So if you're interested in the types of charities that exist in an area, that's another advantage of the Explorer. You can start to interrogate and find out more information. You can save a detailed report for your local area, and I'll show you how to do this shortly. And these include, you can download that and take it away as a PDF, or as individual charts you can also download in there, which might show you Arts Council funding by head, but on a graph format. Finally, there's a really helpful dashboard functionality where you can add in different levels of data and start to compare them against different areas. And again, I'll briefly show you how to do this. The dashboard is really interesting if you want to potentially look at differences across multiple geographies, differences in investment, differences in the organisations, differences in the types of people that might live in an area, and you can start to use a dashboard to compare. So I'm going to stop my slideshow now and share my screen so I can demonstrate the tool directly to you, and I'll do a quite quick demonstration, and then we'll just come back and finish off with some slides, and then we can do some questions after that. So just bear with me a second. Okay. So hopefully you can all see my screen. So if you click into the Culture and Place Data Explorer, and we'll make sure the link is in the chat for anyone who might not have been on the site yet, you'll come into a very basic Google map. So hopefully this is very familiar to most of you. You can look around the map, and there's some buttons along the left-hand side. These are grey round buttons, and these are the key buttons that you'll use to navigate around the system. The second button down is data. So I'm going to click on that, and there is a range of data here that you might be interested in reviewing. We start off with Arts Council data, so our funding by year per head. We've got other public funding, so we have total spend from local authorities. We have information on the Levelling Up Fund. We also have creative and cultural economy data, so percentage of employees, for example, creative companies per 1,000 population. We've recently added for launch information around the participation survey, so that's engagement. So who's engaged with the arts the previous 12 months? You could select that data. I'm not going to go through everything, but we have then a huge range of other information that you might be interested in. Population, visitor economy, jobs and businesses, education, health and well-being, a range of information that help build up a picture of the place. If I select Arts Council funding for a first example, so you would click on total amount awarded. This button in the top right corner, this is kind of your key section here. The map's now populated, so you can kind of look over it at this kind of level. And as you click on an area, you'll see that in the corner, it's telling you what local authority you're hovering over. So that's Newark and Sherwood, for example. And the value in that corner is the value of Arts Council investment in that area. But if you're interested in a particular area, you can click navigate, which is that top grey button, and then search. It will then select which area you want to go to. So I've selected Bedford there. It will take a second to render. So you'll see the little buttons whirling around up there as it has a think, and then it populates. So what you can do there is at a very, very local level, start to see where Arts Council funding has been awarded. And then this area up here, and it tells you where you're looking at on the map. As you scroll out a little bit, if that's, because that's quite a very small section of Bedford, the map will change and you can see different areas. And this corner will show you. So it's now at a layer called MSOA. And if we go out a little bit more, it will tell you ward. So WD is ward data. So if that's what you're interested in, a local ward, you can start to see funding allocated across a ward area. I'll just let that load up. So there you go. So there's particular wards within Bedford there. And then as you can scroll around the map, you can see different information. Services is the next tab down. So this is essentially the pinpoint data. So if you wanted to view accredited museums, for example, across the map, you could select there, and the map will then populate with accredited museums. These are little heat spots. It's a cluster of 4 markers there. So if you click that, it will then expand and you'll be able to see the museums a bit closer. It will get a bit nearer to the map. The top right corner here is your kind of key still. So it will load up. Just take a little moment to think about it, especially when I'm on a call talking to people. And I'd be really keen if it would work a little bit faster. It will show you what, so we know that little brown house is accredited museums. So when you click on one of those, it tells you where you're looking. So this is the Higgins Art Gallery, for example, in Bedford. And it tells you the source of that data and it tells you the category. So that's the services data, and there are quite a lot of information here. So if you're interested in our Arts Council funded libraries, or you might be interested in Artsmark schools, or you might be interested in libraries, local creative groups, national portfolio organisations, theatres, you can always find out the information about where we're pulling that data from. There is metadata available in the I button here. So this will tell you about the details of the data. So the data's come from the Arts Council England. And there's also information about where the services data is from as well. So I'm going to clear the map. Sorry, this is this button here, just the one up from the bottom, clear map, and then we can just start again. So that's the data and services button. And there are also custom areas, which you saw in my earlier slides, hopefully. So if you're interested in viewing a particular local authority, you might want to find it. So I'll just click Ashfield for now. If you click view custom area, again, the map will then basically set that as an area that you are viewing. The little blue line tells me that it's thinking about it. But it is thinking about it quite hard. So Um, doesn't seem like it wants to show me where Ashfield is. There we go. So this is taking us straight to Ashfield. And then if you were interested, then you could add in data, and you would be able to see quite clearly what the boundaries were of that area. So that's quite a helpful tool. We also have in custom areas, Arts Council priority places, mayoral combined authority areas, levelling up for culture places. So you can plot a whole map and put on lots of different areas and start to hover over to see the differences. We have some pre-populated reports. So reports are a way of kind of extracting data out of the system. So instead of navigating around the map, looking at different data, different amounts of data. So you might be looking, I'm based in Coventry, you might look at Coventry, and then you might want to look at Warwick underneath. You can then populate that into a report and pull a report off for Coventry instead. It's it's never normally this slow. I know people will always say that, but it normally isn't. So if you search for the area you're looking at, there's Coventry. If you click on that, it will pre-populate a report for you, which will contain a whole range of place information around the area you're interested in. And this is the document that I mentioned earlier. You can then use as a PDF. You can extract it. You can extract data from it. So it's showing you the boundaries of Coventry, and then it will start to break down some of the information. So here's the Arts Council funding across the 6 years that are in the Explorer, and it's comparing it to the funding in the West Midlands in England, for example. And you can look at that in a graph format as well. You can look at how different funding's been awarded in Coventry to different categories of Arts Council. And then just to go a bit further down, you might be interested in proportion of creative and cultural businesses or trends, or you might be interested in participation data survey. So it's the same information that's in the map, but available as a report that you can extract or download. There are a report available for every local authority district in England. And then finally, if you were interested in the dashboard functionality, that's from this little menu here. You click on dashboard, and then you can start to add in data sets. So you might want to compare some local authority areas. So you would select the local authority areas you're interested in. You'd view those areas. They will appear on the dashboard. And then you can start to compare different data sets. So at the minute, here's creative and cultural employees, and you compare the differences between Amber Valley and Arran, for example. You can change those data sets as ever you would like. So that is quite a whistle-stop tour of the Explorer, and we can come back to this in the next hour as we review, as we chat further. And I'm happy to keep demoing in different ways, but I'm going to come off this now, quickly round up my slides, and then I'll stop talking and see if there's any questions, and you might be able to hear a little bit more from James as well. So I'll stop sharing that. And I'll just share the slides again. Okay. So what's next for the Explorer? So we are launched, it's available, you can use the site now. It's a publicly available site, so it's free to access. The version you can see is the version that we are using internally at the Arts Council. So it's very much a product that's free to use, and all the information is available. As we mentioned before, all the data is publicly available in different ways. So if you wanted to look at census data, there are many other places you could look. But what that means is there's no commercial data in the Explorer. It is very much directly used from the direct source, and you can always view where the source is from if you're interested in the kind of the provenance of the data. There are some user guides located within the Explorer site if you're interested in particular functionality or how to navigate the site. And we have a quick access guide available on the Arts Council website for the Explorer, and we can share these slides afterwards with the links. And I just wanted to kind of finish to say that we are interested in continuing to update and maintain the Explorer. So we have launched, and the next phase begins for us to evolve and change and develop the Explorer in line with use feedback and external factors. So if there's different funding available that we want to replicate in Explorer, we can do that. You saw that I mentioned Levelling Up Fund is in there at the minute. We might want to bring in different data sets responding to different requests. We will monitor who's using the site in terms of analytics, how many people are you on different pages, what data sets are being used frequently, what perhaps aren't. Our investment data will be regularly updated. The Explorer isn't a mandatory tool. It's a tool that we hope people will use to kind of inform their thinking, to help develop cultural strategies, but there's no expectation that anyone needs to use it for any particular purpose. And there's still our investment dashboard if you are interested in the granular data. We do hope to incorporate further data from the recent participation survey. So that is an update that we hope to do in the coming months. There is some data in there already from the participation survey, which is really interesting, but we might add in different data sets and particularly start to nuance that data a little bit more. And finally, we'll obviously talk in this session, but we very, very much welcome any feedback to our Explorer email address, and we are getting that already from users. So is there something in the site that you can't do, or what do you think might be missing? Happy to hear that today, but also happy for people to feedback as and when they start to use the site to our email address. So there is the login for the site. And I think we're going to move on to Q&A now, and I will stop talking. So, great.
Hi, Ria.
So hello. Hi, James.
We've got a few questions in the chat. Shall we jump straight into them? Okay, so somebody was asking what MSOA stands for. I answered it in the chat, but it's Middle Super Output Area, which basically an ONS way of breaking a geographical area into a certain size. So we also have LSOA, which is the layer below that, which is about 650 households. So the LSOA is the smallest geographical area that you can view on the Explorer. Somebody was asking where participation data comes from. That's actually published by DCMS and is available on the Gov website. So those tables are all available to download. Can you benchmark against national averages? Yeah, you can do that in two ways, Laura. So you could, in all of the reports that you download, it's each report, if you choose a certain area, you can benchmark against the region that area is in and also the national average. And then the dashboard is a really good way of benchmarking data because you can add a whole range of different indicators. You can choose different themes. You can add any area you want. And each of those comparisons between areas will always have the national average along the top as well. Luke, is there an API? That isn't currently an API. So I'm assuming you're talking about kind of capturing some data that the Explorer contains at the moment. It's not possible to directly link into that. The data is all publicly available. So currently you have to kind of source and download each of those data sets individually, which is kind of one of the beauties of the Explorer because it kind of brings it all into one place. But no, we can't currently connect an API to it. Is it available? Again, not only as a link. I don't think you can embed it. Can you? There's no RIA. I don't think there's no kind of.
Sorry, we lost you a little bit there, James. Just say that again.
I was asking if the Explorer is embeddable into a blog or a website. I don't think that's currently possible apart from having the hyperlink.
Yeah, apart from the hyperlink, I don't think it would be. I think if there was obviously you can extract the particular graphs from the reports, but other than that, and the reports are downloadable. But yes, you couldn't embed the actual system.
Areas receiving funding, is this done on the basis of home location of the artist or the basis? Yes, Jacqueline, this is a question we get asked a lot. So Jacqueline's asking if the funding shows where the organisation is or where the funding's actually spent, whereas it's benefiting. So touring is a really good example. We might have a touring organisation that is based on one area, but obviously travels all over the country. So currently it only shows the location of the organisation. And this is a question that we get asked a lot, and it's one of those things that we've never really been able to crack because of the complexities of representing that data accurately. So it goes by organisation postcode at the moment. And I think that's it for the chat questions.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully everyone feels like they understand the system a bit more. If there's anything when I was demonstrating that people felt, oh, I could have, could you just do that a little bit slower, or was there something I missed? Please pop that in the chat so we can, I can go back. But yes, just to bring up on the question around, it is postcode data. So we do have a few organisations, for example, whose accountable body or accounting body might be in a different postcode or a different local authority area to the actual delivery of the work. And it is the postcode data that's in the Explorer at the minute. So I think it is just worth highlighting that that is a challenge. Yeah, feel free. We've had a few questions to the Explorer about that, so I'm happy to clarify that for anyone who might be in that specific situation. Oh, Katie, would you mind just going over the demonstration of custom areas? Yes, I will. So you're right to bring up area of benefit, as we would refer to it, around how we better demonstrate that. And it is on, we talked about the evolution of the system. How we might better represent touring is already on the list for us. It's a long-term question because we haven't really solved the question wholesale within the Arts Council. So I think we would need to do some work generally, but we hope that the Explorer could really help us in the future to better represent how we are showcasing how our funding works. Okay, James, I'm going to go back in and I'll start with custom areas, and then perhaps we can move on to dashboard, and I just need you to help me make sure I'm showing the right things.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Great. So hopefully you can see that. So custom areas is the 5th sort of grey button down. So I'll click on it. And there are parliamentary constituencies at the top. And if you click the button here, it will show you all the parliamentary constituencies in England, if that was the particular area that you were interested in. We, at the Arts Council, potentially do get queries from particular MPs who are interested in their particular constituency area. So this is a helpful way of segmenting the data. We also have local authorities. So here they are, local tier and upper tier. So you can click in and find. You can also use a search button at the top. So if you're looking for a particular area where you live, you can search here. Probably worth saying that the lowest, we don't have all towns on here, for example. So we are looking at local authority areas. But we do have priority places specifically split out. So if you clicked, sorry, I've lost it. If we clicked here on J, you could, if you wanted to, select all Arts Council's priority places. And then you would click View Custom Areas. And this is going to populate the entire England map with all of our priority places. So I'm going to do that first so you can see it from kind of the whole map. So there you go. So these are all the Arts Council's priority places appearing. And if you click the I button here, it will tell you what they are. So Barking and Dagenham, scroll down, you'll see them all there. Isles of Scilly over there. And then if you wanted to overlay some data, I will do that. And the map will render as normal, but it will just make it a little bit easier for you to then hover over the priority place areas and get the information you want. So I'll just make that custom area a bit smaller. Yeah, so East Lindsey, for example, over here, Great Yarmouth, over here, Fenland. So that's how the priority places work. If you wanted to scroll in a bit nearer, then the map will change. You'll be able to get more detailed information around the funding in that particular priority place, for example. Or you can just select one priority place. So I think that's probably, that's probably enough on, have I explained custom areas there, James, do you think?
Yeah, Katie says that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, bro. I didn't mean to click the report button, everyone. I'm just going to check that in a minute. So the next question was around dashboards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And specifically finding national averages in dashboards.
Okay. You will have noticed I indicated I would need James's assistance to make sure that I'm demonstrating this correctly. I'm loading reports. Don't know why I'm doing that. There we go. So you click up on the little button in the corner. I'm not a data person, but it is the hamburger button. That's one of my learnings from working on this product. So, and then you click dashboard. And the first thing it will want you to do is to select some areas that you want to compare. So you could, if you wanted to, select a huge amount of areas. You could go, well, I'm interested in all of Arts Council's priority places. I'm not going to do that now, but you could do that. Or you wanted to select all Arts Council areas in the Midlands, for example. That would be here, Arts Council areas in the Midlands, or mayoral combined authorities. So you can pick and choose what you're interested in. I will, for the purposes of this, pick a couple of priority places for us to compare. So you would click that, and they're going to appear here, the different areas that you've picked. So the national comparator, if I'm right, James, is always at the top, isn't it? So this is the figures for England.
So that always appears, whatever you add, there's always that line for England. So that's your national averages.
So they're always right at the top for you to compare to. And then if you click this data button, this is where you can, I guess, personalize or make your dashboard have the information that you're interested in. So if you were interested in jobs and businesses, or if you're interested in participation survey data, you can then view those themes if you wanted to. So you click view, and then it's going to reload the dashboard. So now it's got the employment themes, for example. So benefits, older person in employment, universal credit, and you can start to compare. And then if you wanted to change it, you could choose a different theme. So we'll choose that one, and it will compare again. Total amount awarded per head. If you hover over these top banners, if they're a bit, sometimes the titles do go a bit smaller on the screen, you can hover over and see the full title. You can export this data into a CSV, is it, James?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not actually sure what that report button does. Maybe it does intro report. And it tells you the update frequency here. So this is probably, actually, James, maybe you should wax lyrical about dashboards, because you're a dashboard man.
Yeah, this is a great area for people that are really interested in the data and specifically benchmarking areas against other areas. Might be worth just mentioning the colors there. You can see we've got dark lines, we've got cream, and we've got kind of an aqua kind of color. So in the top left there, you can see dark is high, the aqua greeny color is medium, and the cream is low. So this basically just lets you compare the data across the areas that you're currently looking at. So it's saying out of the 3 areas that we're currently looking at, Barrow-in-Furness has got the highest value out of all 3 of those for most indicators, and then Chesterfield at the bottom there is kind of in the middle range compared to the other areas for those 2 indicators. Ria, if you click on the accessibility button as well, that makes it a little bit clearer.
Do I toggle over?
Icons, yeah. and that just makes it a little bit clearer whether it's kind of in the middle, whether it's on the lower end, or whether it's on the higher end. So, you possible use case for this is, what's our IMD score, our deprivation score, compared to the other areas I'm looking at, and what's the employment like in that area? Is it higher or lower than those other areas? And what's the Arts Council investment in that area? So, if you're interested in pulling that data, this is a good place to put all the areas you're interested in one place and then export it, and you can use that, in reports or whatever. I'll come back to that if there's any more questions on dashboards. Just what somebody else is mentioning about APIs and possible use within Power BI. It's just worth pointing out that the National Investment Dashboard that Ria mentioned earlier as one of our products is a Power BI dashboard, and it's available on the Arts Council England website. And that shows totals for all our investment over the last 6 years, I think. And you can view trends in there and program breakdowns and discipline types. So, that's already kind of exists. So it's worth checking that out and seeing if that kind of meets your needs for that. High, medium, and low, Laura, are just defined as within the average of the areas that you're looking at. So, 33% or below, 33 to 67 exactly, etc. So it's not kind of comparing it with any national benchmarking. It's literally comparing with the areas that you're looking at that moment.
Just wanted to say thank you for the questions you put in the chat. And I hope that you, and we can talk more about this in the breakout sessions. I hope you think that the Explorer will be useful. Something that I maybe perhaps didn't mention was that what I would hope, or what we would hope, is that this type of data might inform, as well as cultural strategy, it might support funding bids that are being written for, not necessarily for the Arts Council, but for any funder, and things like the reports that you can pull up may well provide useful appendices, or supporting data and evidence to go behind other kind of projects that are in the planning. And we are really proud of the product being very much a place-based product. So it's all been driven from a kind of desire to provide information with place at its kind of core. So it's all led off postcode data. We have ensured that any data sets currently in there are available on a national, I'm talking about England here, but on a national basis. So whatever place you are in, there will be data populated around your places. We've already had lots of kind of contact from people saying, oh, I've got a great, or potentially we've got really rich data around a particular, particular data set. It might be around creative health, or it might be around different in a particular part of the country. And what we're interested in for the start was, well, what data do we have that's robust, that covers all of England? So it meant everyone started off on kind of a level footing, and then we hope to, look at those future developments and what we might want to look at in the future. And I'm happy to say, so one of the feedback we might have had is, are we able to categorize kind of rural areas on the system at the minute? Might be something we want to look at in the future around how we might want to chunk up the data in different ways to support our stakeholders. So those types of any sort of feedback you've got around that is really invaluable to us in terms of how we might want to evolve and adopt the system to really deliver for the use cases that it's being used for. And there are also lots of other maps out there. I would say that as well. There are other maps and other systems that you might want to use as well, but we are really proud of ours, as I said, being this kind of free to access tool, readily available. Good questions.
Difference between summary report and a custom report.
I'll go back into the site quickly, but essentially the difference is one's a lot longer. So I will demo that. While I'm doing that, do you want to just answer the other question from Katie?
Yes, Illuminate data is not currently in the Explorer. It's definitely something that we're going to be exploring in the future. The Illuminate product itself is fairly new and that's still being developed. So the two kind of products are shifting at the same time at the moment. So we need a bit kind of a stability in those data sets before we can bring that in. But yes, it's definitely an ambition.
Good question about Illuminate. So there are two different reports for each local authority area. One is called a summary report and one is a custom report. So I'll click on the custom report. So these reports are automatically updated as data is updated. So we've set them in for each local authority area, and then they will update as we update data or as Local Insight system is updated. Some of our data sets are updated yearly, so they will change. So this is the detailed report. So what you'll find in this report is it will look pretty similar at the start. So it's telling you the population, employment, but it goes into quite a lot more detail as you go down into a lot more of our data sets. So the summary report is a snapshot, I would say, of a place, and it includes a kind of key data sets that we think are important, whereas this might break down all the cultural creative companies, for example. It also includes internet usage and listed buildings. So it's just a lot more of that granular data. Again, it's all pulled across from the data sets, but it's just a huge more amount of detail in the report if you really want to interrogate a place or find out some differences in a place. You'll see here for IMD, for index of multiple deprivation, lots more information around how that's broken down and different details. So hopefully this might be a useful, the summary, I would say the summary report might be good for if you wanted to find out about a place, it gives you that snapshot. But if you want to delve deeper, or if you're working on a really detailed funding application, this custom report might be more useful to give you that kind of granular data about a place. And you can compare. But again, you can download it, and you can download these graphs. So if you click this little button here, if you just want to use the graph and drop that into a document, you can do that. That graph's available to be kind of used as you would like. So yeah, they're the reports.
One more question, Ria.
Okay.
Faye's asking if it's possible to upload your own data into the tool. She was referencing Illuminate data not being in there specifically. So no, it's not currently possible to upload your own data. But I would say that this tool is, I mean, what is it? It's not even 2 months old yet, is it, Ria? So we've kind of put in the data that was going to be kind of most useful to people and was kind of the most kind of feasible, as it was tidy, it was consistent, it was accurate. So this is definitely a first version. So I say if you've got some data such as Illuminate that you'd really want in the tool, then send us a change request, explorer@artscouncil.org. It's on the slides and I'll put it in the chat as well. And then the more kind of demand we get for that then helps us reprioritize data to be added in following development phases. Another question. How aware are LAs of this tool? Well, they were definitely part of our testing group, weren't they, Ria?
They were part of our testing group, and also part of our testing group was the Local Government Association. So yeah, so we've tried to spread the word. But our main way of spreading that word has really been with our relationship managers and our existing contacts within local authorities. So we've sent some comms out, but I would, from my personal point of view, say that it's probably very likely there are lots of local authorities who aren't aware of it, because that all depends on us working really closely with local authorities. We do with some, but we don't with all. So yeah, please share at will, and we're very happy to again have suggestions around how we might better kind of publicize or share the word of the Explorer. But we have worked with the Local Government Association to try and promote and share the tool. I'm I'm just reading your question. I'm in contact with looking to get funding for mapping exercise, so I want to share this. Yeah. So please share if you think it's going to be helpful. We have also heard that a lot of local authorities are doing similar sort of mapping exercises. So this might be a good place to start, or it might contain some. It might mean there's some information here that means they don't need to do that. But yeah, feel free to share. I would just say, and we were coming into the breakout sessions, but the services data and the mapping, it was a real big challenge to pull data together to try and make sure we had national data sets. And where we'll be, so we've got music organisations on there or music venues, and we absolutely are aware that isn't all the music venues that are across England, but we haven't yet been able to locate a reliable single source of all the music venues. So that's the challenge, is we'll be continually looking for these sources around how we can ensure we're accessing the most pertinent and reliable data to put into the system. So I think maybe I'll just look for Kate to see how we're going to move into the next part of the session in terms of the breakout rooms.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much as well, Ria and James. That was really informative and really helpful. And for me personally, it just gives me like an idea about as a tool to map investment, but also to kind of build that wider picture of place. So I hope everyone else has found it just as beneficial. We'll move on to the breakouts, but I might, well, just try and add a quick poll question, if that's okay, Ria and James. I can see as well, even from some of the questions we've already had a little bit about, but if I can add poll. So this is just a quick question to ask everyone how you might, just before we go into the breakout, just to kind of forward think, how you might use the Data Explorer. It should take about 3 seconds. It's one question. So please feel free, everyone, just to write a sentence or just a word about something that might be useful. We'll collect this information. And as I allow time for you to jot something down, we have another about 20 minutes with Ria and James, where we're going to do 2 breakouts. So there'll probably be about 11 people in each session, 10 or 11 in each session. James and Ria will also accompany you, and they'll go into each of the sessions. So you can discuss and share these ideas and questions, and they'll be able to answer them as well. Right, I'll end the poll. Thank you very much for participating. Would you like me to share the results now, Ria? Or I can do this at the end.
Exciting.
Yeah, exciting stuff. I'll if it's going to show us. It's not showing on my screen yet. I don't know if anyone else can see.
No, I can't see.
No, might have to at the end, view details. Yeah. Right. I've got them here. Okay, but I don't know if it's going to share. So I'll stop sharing. Right. Right. So I'll save those anyway, that information for and share at the end. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you very much. And I hope you found your session or workshop, as we probably should have badged them, as really, really useful. I wonder if in the kind of closing minutes, if anyone could feedback and just say maybe a little bit about what you discussed in each of your groups.
Do you want me to speak for ours?
Yes, Ria, that'd be great.
Yeah, it was just had a really helpful chat around potentially we could start to think about perhaps some little kind of videos to just try and demonstrate some of those little kind of ways that you can use the Explorer. So, quite short videos. So when people are perhaps dipping in and out of the system 2 or 3 times a year, they could refer back to around actually how do I look at data? How do I plot services? They would be quite short. So that the sense in the group was that would be really helpful as kind of a part of our sort of support materials to use the system, which is really helpful feedback. And something we're interested in is what do people feel would help them to use it. We talked a bit more about the question around area of benefit, which is, is a concern for some of us, which is fine. And me and James obviously tried to touch on that. We're aware that it is problematic. And then we just talked generally around how the lovely people in the group use data and got some really positive feedback on the product and how it might help them in their kind of like day-to-day sort of tasks and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of the feedback.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you. James?
My group, yeah. So we began with awareness amongst local authorities. How aware are they of this tool? And I was talking about, although we did quite a bit of user engagement and testing, kind of the next phase definitely is to build those use cases. So move from beyond the very technical guidance on how to use the tool and more into how can I practically use this tool to help me in my work. We started talking about how local authorities might use the tool to write strategies. And I was saying, if you're new to the tool, a good place might be just download a massive report for your local authority and have a read through it and see if it, throws up any surprises or anything, points for further inquiry. Then we also talked about area of benefit again. I would say in Ria, maybe we could do kind of a step approach. So some of the more useful cases where it's very clear, although the money goes to this organization, it then gets distributed to these 3 organizations. So that might be a kind of more simple, clear cut. But there is kind of tension about how we display that information, because if you're showing funding in one way for these organizations and a different way for those organizations, that can potentially get confusing. So it is a complex issue that we're aware of and working towards solving. And then again, we was talking about Illuminate data and how amazing it would be if we could start representing that data on the Explorer. So yeah, lots of voices for Illuminate, which might just help push up the list a little bit, Ria, and when we come to develop the next phase. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And thanks for both groups as well, for contributing and questioning and thinking about how it could be used further. So Ria and James as well are there for any further questions. You can email them directly or through the place-based peer learning program. And we will have this video on our Hivebright, so that's the place-based peer learning website shortly. So please feel to view or recommend. And there's also the resources as well, the slideshow and information which will go up as well on Hivebright. I am going to just show as well for the future sessions what's coming up next as well for the place-based peer learning program. You can see here we have programming for poverty awareness with Children North East and Child Action Poverty Group, I think that's it. And that's on the 27th of November. So please come on to that. And then we're going to have a follow-up session for Connect and Reflect on the 4th of December. Again, focused around poverty awareness. I'll stop sharing that. And in the closing remarks, thank you so much, James and Ria, as well, for this morning. It's been really, really useful. But it'd be great as well to find out a little bit more from each of you. So I'm going to put up one last poll, very, very short, should take no more than 60 seconds. There's about 5 or 6 questions, just kind of yes or no, so we can learn from the session and try and make sure that, future sessions are equally useful and informative. And any suggestions as well about kind of other themes that you'd like to explore in future. So let me just put that on. It's called Connect and Reflect, but it is the right survey. So and while you're just populating the survey, thank you for joining us. And also one last thing, we have, as well as the place-based peer learning website, it is now, woohoo, for those who haven't seen yet, it's now an app, and it's available on Apple and soon to be Android, but you can download it for free and start using today. Right. Wonderful. Thank you very much, everyone. We hope you have a brilliant rest of the day, and do drop us a line if there's anything else we can support.